We were raised by a single mother. When I was about 3-4 years old, our house burned down. Insurance didn't cover paying off that mortgage. So fortunately, my mom was a nurse and she was able to work a ridiculous amount of hours, some 80 hours a week, and pay off that mortgage while still finding us another place to live. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of really good role models in my life. Obviously, my mom being at the top of that list. Okay. When all is good, why rock the boat when my child support's low? Yes. Okay. We know who it was filed by.
She always very passionately said, I'm going to be an attorney. And she'd look at me with dead set eyes, and I 100% believed her. And not only just becoming an attorney, but actually being a good attorney that is going to make a difference. Erin's passion sets the bar for everyone else in our office. So we're at home on a Saturday night. It's 8 o'clock.
What should I do?
What should I do?
What should I do?
What should I do?
What are my rights? What are my rights?
What are my rights?
A legal course of action.
A legal course of action.
A legal course of action. A legal Morse of action.
Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of Legal Morse of Action. This is Patricio, and as always, I'm joined by Attorney Morse. How you doing tonight, Erin?
Oh, so good. Had a very busy day, but it was a good day.
It was a good day. It's always a good day.
Always a good day.
60% of the time, it's a good day. It's like 100% of the time, a good day.
Yeah, 60% of the time, it works every time.
Looked up in the sky, saw Ice Cube's a pimp and a blimp. Today's going to be a good day.
And joining us tonight is what's his title now? Now that I think about it,
I don't know.
Overachiever.
HBIC. The fucking ops guy.
He is the guy. Actually, now that I think about it, Erin, you're in a room with we wouldn't be considered royalty, would we, Kyle?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So underdressed.
That's too funny.
I have yet to make an announcement on my social medias about it because I want to make it like extra.
Mm-hmm.
As extra as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess I'm saying it right here. Kyle and myself are officially lords in Scotland. So yay for us.
Oh, nicely done, guys. We're all so proud of the hard work you put into your titles.
My 1 square foot of land.
The day that it happened, I got to apologize for the way it all happened that night. And
ridiculous.
I don't know what came over me, but just looking at we were at Ember here in downtown Orlando, and for some odd reason, Kyle was just sitting in a really impish,
a really lord-like manner.
A very lord-like manner. And I had to, it just got in my head. I'm like, you know what? He would appreciate it. He would totally appreciate it. And then when I got online, they were still doing their Black Friday special, and it was buy one, get one. So I'm like, why the hell wouldn't I not want to be a lord? So yeah, Kyle and myself are officially lords. So
I'm going to give you some legal advice now about this, right?
Okay.
So in thinking about
No trip and falls on my land.
That's right. In thinking about land use and how this, because the first thing I thought about when I heard about this, especially you guys, was no. How does this work, and why are they selling land so cheap?
Mm-hmm.
And I discussed it with my husband, and he's like, well, I bet it's environmentally protected land that can't be improved upon. So this is just what we suspect, not what we know. But and if you guys know different, please tell me. So whatever land it is it's like unusable land for one reason or another, and they're seeking to make some money off of it.
Okay.
Well, and I go, well, what about if in the future this particular land use changes and a company or someone wanted to buy a land, right?
So I'm gonna go put my flag, my insignia right there.
Yeah. Plant some kind of indigenous plant or
A
something.
little like 1 inch tall flag right there on 1 square foot of land.
Yeah.
Like, this is my land.
So make sure you wear your kilt.
Oh man.
Your family kilt.
Oh man.
So what my thought is make sure with the local records or however they have their record keeping there, which are probably going to be fairly quasi similar to ours, right? Because it's going to be English based and we're based on English law. Make sure you keep your address up to date, because when it comes time that somebody wants to develop or change the status of this land, they're going to have to buy it from you.
Oh yeah. Cha-ching.
Right? So who knows what that's going to look like at some point, but I bet if they do, you know, like a check, or that they were trying to buy it from you or whatever, and they can't find you, that they could just buy it out from under you. So make sure you keep your address up to date with them.
My question then too is, if I sell it, do I lose my lordship, or do I still get to maintain being a lord even though I don't have
lose
property?
Your lordship. I think it
So
is
it's
tied
not
to
like
the property
England where I
ownership.
just get, oh, that's knighting. Dang it.
Nice try, yeah.
Can I knight myself on my own ground?
Does being a lord grant you the authority
I don't
to
know. I
knight
want
someone?
to. That's
Now I kind of want to look that up. Like, what comes with being
Come
a
on,
lord?
viewers, my trusty viewers, you guys always know.
I definitely want to do that.
But
then
the
if-
real big thing is keep your address up to date with them so you can get that money at
Yes,
some
sir.
point.
Let's see.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, according to nobility.co.uk, advantages of being titled: social status, good for business, financial advantages, service. Let's see. I'm looking through that.
Like how they have that vague social advantages.
Does that mean I get to cut the line to get to the clubs?
When booking a restaurant, most restaurants will give you a
Discount? Come on.
a preferred seating.
preferred seating, treatment, and often complimentary drinks or desserts.
Yes.
This is in Europe, so like if we tell them we're lords, we're getting some stuff.
That's all we need is just to tell people.
Yeah.
Tight. Suckers.
I'd get it on like a little laminated card.
I framed my lordship, and it's hanging.
Like have it shrunk down into like a card that fits in your wallet and be like, I'm a lord.
Oh my God!
Any night, here we go. Thanks, Ray. You know, Dr. Google found this.
Oh, sweet!
So
All right.
put it up.
There we go. Any night can make a night. However, kings can make knights as well, even if they were never knighted themselves. On the other hand, lords cannot dub someone a knight if they have not previously been knighted themselves. So you and I have to go to England and get knighted by the Queen.
All right. Oh, we just need to find another knight to knight us.
Oh.
I would find another knight.
Yeah, that's got to be way easier.
Yeah. Elton John.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know a couple of knights.
I was gonna say, what about
Brian McKnight?
what about the UCF Knights? Go Knights!
Yeah. I'm a knight. I'm a UCF knight.
There it
I
is.
got you.
No, we've been
Done.
But no, as you just said earlier in regards to like stringing it down and putting it in your wallet. This morning we had a little bit of a fiasco where I had to go to Lake County for you guys, and I got to Lake County and I parked, get out of the car, go walk into the courthouse. And if you've ever been to Lake County, the garage from the courthouse, it's a bit away. So
Oh yeah, you got like a 2.5, 3 blocks.
2.5, 3 blocks.
Oh.
And
Oh,
as I'm walking
jeez.
up the steps of the courthouse, I stop and I pull out my wallet. And a friend of mine a few weeks ago gave me a credit card sized knife that folds into a pocket knife. So knowing that I had to deliver this this package in such amount of time, I knew I didn't have time to waste.
You hid in a bush.
I did it.
Did you? Was it there when you got back?
It was there when I got back.
Nice.
Because oh my God, Lake County was just empty. There was nobody out there at the courthouse. There were tons of security guards in one little bubble. They weren't practicing social distancing, but there was no one in that courthouse. And I gotta say, Lake County is a very, very clean, very
Isn't
nice.
it so pretty?
It's a very pretty courthouse.
It's a really nice courthouse.
Cheers to you, Lake County, for keeping up an amazing
Cheers!
courthouse.
I have soda water today.
I forgot my water in the room.
This weird Whole Foods soda water. Looks like I'm drinking a 40 though, doesn't it?
Hey, I like it.
You gotta pour one out for the homies.
It's soda water. I look like I'm drinking a 40. I look like I should have it like taped to my hand.
I kind of want to get you a
that's
paper
even
bag
better.
right now, just for shits and giggles.
I definitely want to tape it to her hand. Edward 40 hands. Here we go.
But this is what we are 8 days away from. I almost said Halloween. Wow, I almost.
This
said
is Halloween.
Of Christmas. So I know for
Cue
our
the
office, we are going to be away from the office for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Better than a bonus.
It really is. The cool thing is, like, I've already planned out like my days off, catching up on every movie that everyone has told me to watch, and I just haven't. Getting back on my bicycle, working out, and shedding as much weight as possible. What about you, Kyle? What are your plans for your Christmas break?
Not really too much up until Christmas, and then after Christmas on the 30th, me and my fiance, I guess now, we are going to my friend's place out in San Antonio. He bought a brand new, awesome ranch.
Is this the dude who has a really badass house?
Yeah,
No
a
doubt.
really
Did
badass
you just call
house.
a dude who owns a ranch?
Dude ranch.
So
And he's
sweet.
Polish. he's a Polish rancher. Yeah, he just bought it back in, I want to say, like beginning of summer, but due to COVID, he couldn't really do the housewarming, so he kind of got tired of not having his friends there for the housewarming, so he decided to throw a crazy New Year's Eve party. So it's black tie affair. He brought in caterers, he brought in a band. He has shuttle buses to get people from his house to their hotels that night and stuff.
Damn.
Yeah, he's going all out. His house, Cuba. I can't wait, buddy.
So what about you, Erin? What does the Morse Orton house have planned for the holiday and New Year?
I plan on doing very little.
Nice.
As she deserves.
Amen.
Right? I work so hard. This vacation is a little bit for me because even when I take a vacation and work is in session, I somehow have things to be responded to, or it's just
Surgeries,
right? Yeah,
she goes on
surgeries.
vacation to take surgeries.
I had to hold back going in for my emergency surgery for my week vacation. So, I plan, I'm probably going to do a lot of things like working on the business.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things like that I don't have the chance to get to, so I can, strategize to just increase the viability of my business and things that I really need uninterrupted time. My husband doesn't have all of the time off. He only has the holiday and then the weekend. So a 4-day weekend.
Poor Sam.
Womp. So it's good for me. That has nothing to do with Sam, but I have a very social type career, right?
Yeah.
I argue to judges and against opposing counsels and have clients and opposing clients, and a lot of, I have my staff, I manage this place. So I am around and responsive and responsible for a lot of things very often. So I can't wait to just be like, I'm not responsible for other than my son, right? Then I go home and I'm someone's mommy, right? I run a household and, this is not a complaint, but it's tiresome, and I'm looking forward to just some quiet time.
Especially if you've seen her last 2 weeks of calendar.
Oh my
Insane.
I had a trial on Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had other.
Didn't last Monday you actually also had a trial, or was it?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
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 That was a 2.5-day trial. Okay, so then this week I think I had one day where I had 4 hearings in one day.
Yes.
Okay, and then that was this week.
Yes.
That's it's not, the week isn't over, and I had a full day trial, right, that we had to actually extend for the ruling, and then so I don't know how that one went. I feel pretty good about it, but we got to wait for the ruling.
Yes.
And then I
Pending Christmas card.
and then I had a relocation trial today.
Yep.
Mhm. And you were
And followed that with
A mediation. What you got next, right? Then we got the marketing stuff. I'm ready.
keep it coming.
Yeah, I'm ready. Who's next? So yeah, it was a very, very busy week for me this week.
So on multiple episodes, I've always brought up the fact that the mental health of an attorney, I'm sure, just like it's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, as a young person, and in a lot of my personal events, I had a lot of personal trauma that was pretty extreme. Like you guys.
I was going to say, if you were going to say personal again, I was going to lose it.
That's really funny.
Hey, Farvo, what's that place with all the shit on the wall?
You mean personal?
Ooh.
Had my own brands of trauma, which are often a bit worse than what my families that I'm helping are going through. So a lot of times for me, I'm like, I got this, right? That's for me. But when I was a teenager, like all teenagers, I was mouthy and I drove my mom crazy. So she put me into counseling.
Oh.
And I ended up being in counseling for most of my adolescence. And then with my traumatic events, with each one of them, one of my first like trigger trauma responses is get into counseling. So that is something that I always do when I know I can, predict it, that something is a struggle for me. I go right to counseling. I'm like, I'm not even thinking clearly. I gotta do this.
I always had this crazy thought, like, where do counselors go when they need counseling? Like, how does it work for
the bar? I'm sure my counselor needs counseling after me. I'm the reason my counselor drinks.
And what about you, Kyle? Like, what's your escape to like keep your mental stability like at a normal?
I like to be alone, to be honest. Like, kind of, it's weird because, I have 4 older half brothers, but I kind of like also live that life of an only child. So when I get I just like to just be by myself. I don't want to listen to anyone. I don't want to think about anything. So it could also like, it could be some video games, but I kind of like gotten away from that. But yeah, I definitely just like my alone, peaceful, just don't talk to me. Don't give me any sort of stimulants, flashing lights. I just kind of just want to just chill, collect, and think about myself.
If I can give you a little bit of unsolicited relationship advice.
Why not?
Right? As a divorce lawyer,
hey,
right?
Why not?
The things that come up often.
That's what we're here for.
Right? If you communicate that adequately with your significant other, she won't take it personal, right? You just got to say, hey, this isn't about you. I need some time. Just like I said, my husband's going to be working. So I'm going to take the opportunity to have my own version of alone time, right? I don't have to talk. I don't have to be in charge of something. I don't have to be, responsive, because of course you love your significant other and you don't want to communicate with them in a way that you're like, dude, I'm like talked out. I don't want to. Sometimes I come home from work and I'm like, he's so wonderful and considerate. He really is. So he's like, what do you want for dinner? What do you want for this? And I'm like, I don't want to make any decisions.
Please, God, don't ask me a single question.
I don't want to be in charge of anything. So, that's kind of, and that has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with the fact that I have a mountain of responsibilities and,
you do have a lot on your plate.
And,
you really do.
And I know that I need to check out of that sometimes or, close my laptop.
Mm-hmm. The reason why, once again, I'm bringing up mental health for this episode is I came across an article this week that just blew my mind. And the more and more I started researching about it, the more and more I wanted to like talk to you about it. I didn't want to talk about it on any other show because I don't feel like I would get like an adequate or professional opinion on it because, none of my friends are attorneys. So I want to bring it up on this episode in regards to Baker acting. All right. And a number that I found out earlier this week that really blew me through, like, let me rephrase that, blew my mind, was that last year alone, 36,000 children were Baker acted in the state of Florida alone.
Wow.
And that number over the past I think it's like 4 years is almost doubled. And it just, I don't get it. But I want to get from you, Erin, like, what is Baker acting?
So it's like a 72-hour hold when there's a concern that a person may harm themselves or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen at a hospital or by a police officer. I think you can volunteer for it as well.
Really?
Hey, I think you could go in and be like, I think I'm going to kill myself. You really volunteer to that.
No, I mean, if you're in touch with your feelings and you're able to admit something like that, more power to you.
Normally it comes from something that someone says. So
Yeah. But no, the article that I read earlier this week was about a 6-year-old girl that was Baker acted.
That's so sad.
Here in Florida, and it was startling, and at the same time, it's painful to watch because there's body cam footage of this little girl being put in a.
She's 6.
6 years old, and she's literally she's walking into.
Don't show that video.
The police cruiser, and throughout this whole ordeal, she's asking the officer, "Am I going to jail? Am I going to jail?" And she says to the kid, "No, jail's for bad people. We're here to help you." But I can't even fathom how
did that get released? How is there no confidentiality about this little girl?
I was going to say that.
I'm really uncomfortable with the fact that little girl's confidentiality is breached at such a level.
And who contacted the police? She contacted them.
No. This actually happened from her teacher.
Oh, okay.
Her teacher was basically saying that she was being extremely completely out of control. She had no way of keeping this girl calm in any way, shape, or form. But the problem is, this girl does suffer from mental health, and it was made aware to the school. But unfortunately, the school went forward with Baker acting this 6-year-old girl.
Jeez.
And this was earlier this year. This was February 4th. But I guess because FDLE finally disclosed all this information, like I came across it, and it was just like, how the hell do you determine that a child gets Baker acted?
I mean, if they're in imminent danger to themselves or someone else, that's kind of really your standard. It's fairly low. If they threaten to harm someone, that, and again, a Baker Act isn't supposed to be something like jail time.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be, can we bring you to a facility, get you evaluated by a psychologist, psychotherapist, someone like that?
Yeah.
And can we get you some type of resources, right? I've mentioned before, probably so many times, nobody wants to hear it, but that I worked in a hospital in an emergency room. That's what I did during undergrad. And that'd be, if you bring someone to the hospital for a Baker Act, you would bring them to the emergency room. So, we got a lot of this. And ideally, what we do when someone's Baker acted is we immediately contact a doctor and a social worker and try to get them with resources. So getting Baker Act, I'm sure, isn't fun, right? Because you don't have your freedom to, watch Netflix and eat popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that because that's what I wish I was doing. But it's, it's supposed to be so that you can somehow find a way to get in touch with resources if you need them, or if your psychosis or diagnosis or whatever it is that brought you here could be somehow just reduced, right? That it might have been temporary in time or situational, that could happen.
The big question for me is, when is the Baker Act harmful and when is it actually helpful?
Well, people will weaponize it, right? So as we've known, we've seen spouses try to weaponize it, because all you have to do is call the police and say, he said he's going to kill himself. Mm-hmm. And what are you going to do, right?
And that's what I'm saying.
How do you talk the police out of that?
Yeah, right.
No, I didn't. Give me the chance to do it, right? That's what they feel like, right? They feel like the greater harm is ignoring that claim.
So even telling the officer, I never said that, the fact that someone is saying that I said it, it's...
Well, this is a police officer analysis now, okay?
Okay.
And as a brown man, you know those rules.
I do.
Right? It's different every time. So this is how the police officer reacts, what they observe, them making a determination. They have a lot of power and authority to make these split-second decisions in the field. So that's really going to be how that operates. Now, a doctor could also Baker Act you. So if you were in front of your doctor and you said something like that, they could make sure that you were on a 72-hour hold as well. You could also file something in court. Now, in my opinion, and how quickly the court rooms work, and I don't know Baker Act law specifically, right? There is a way to file something, try to get in front of a judge before the 72 hours are up, and have your Baker Act released. But at 72 hours...
Yeah, of course, it would require an emergency motion at that point, right?
I believe that they do handle them on an emergency basis, right? Oh. I believe that they handle them. Any of my attorney friends, speak up if you know. But I believe that they handle them on an emergency basis, and they will allow you to be heard quicker. But 72 hours, like, what did you win by that? You paid a lawyer.
So the thing that gets me is that for someone to be Baker Act and everything like that, let me read this right here. Once a Baker Act is initiated, the individual must be examined by one of the following.
All right, I'm going to stop you. Cite your source.
Oh, I am citing the Office of Substance Abuse and Mental Health by the Florida Department of Children and Families.
Love it. Go ahead. Continue.
FDLE. Oh, no, wait, not FDLE. CDF, right?
Whatever.
I can't remember the acronym right now. Oh my God, it's literally right in front of me. But once a Baker Act has been initiated, the individual must be examined by one of the following mental health professionals to determine if the criteria for involuntary service are met, and to be determined the appropriate course of action by a physician, clinical psychologist, or psychiatric nurse. The established examination period is up to 72 hours. And this is where this information blew my mind. For minors, however, once a Baker Act determination is made, the clinical examination to determine if the criteria for involuntary services are met must be initiated within the first 12 hours of their arrival to the facility. This means the mental health professional must have begun the clinical examination no later than 12 hours after the minor is received. If the examination period ends on a weekend or a holiday, no later than the next working day thereafter. One of the following actions must be taken. But
so you Baker Act them Friday afternoon.
Yeah, and they're screwed for the whole weekend. A child can be held.
That used to happen all the time. So I have a friend, colleague of mine, said she teaches it in health law. That's who to ask. She knows for sure. I'm glad she tuned in today. Yeah.
So
So Mary, tell us, what do they file in order to get released? Is there something that can be filed?
The thing that kills me is 12 hours. A child who may be suffering from ADHD or clinical depression or what have you can't be comforted by their parent for 12 hours and are basically.
I don't think they're in isolation. They can be visited.
They can be visited? I gotta look that up, because I don't think that parents have access to their children if they're being detained for a Baker Act.
They're under the age of 18. I don't think you can do that.
If anyone's watched here we go. The minor, nothing. The parent has to file.
Okay.
So being able to find an attorney within those hours to get things going.
Right. That's why you do it on Friday afternoon.
Oh. Kyle,
used to happen all the time.
Kyle, what's your stance on the Baker Act? Do you think it's harmful or helpful in this day and age?
I think, it's hard to get into that one, in my opinion, just because you want to say it obviously is helpful for obvious reasons. It's protecting someone from doing self-harm to themselves. But I feel like more times than none, especially in this day and age, someone finds that information and they don't like you and you just scorn them for whatever reason. They're just like, all right, fine. Calls the cops. This person just claimed they were going to hurt themselves. Or, with all the different divorces we have, you have, combating spouses or even non-spouses that are just fighting over their child. Like, can weaponize it, as it was ultimately referred to in the beginning. It's like, that's a scary, scary thing to think that you can just have your life, pursuit of happiness completely derailed just because of someone said something to someone else. It's like, that's just mind blowing. Like, that nothing about due process is involved in any of that. Right. Like, I get it. The general overarching theme is to protect people, but when you allow that slippery slope of, all right, fine, I don't like you, I'm going to call the cops on a Friday because you said this to me, I'm going to say that you threatened to kill yourself during that conversation. I can prove the conversation happened by showing the call log, but no one can prove what was said during that call.
I think the removal of your constitutional rights is abrogated by the de minimis nature of it, right? That it's limited in time.
Yeah,
Again, it's why if asked, if I had a client call me and be like, they Baker acted me and I'm in the hospital and it's Friday afternoon, I'd be like,
3-day weekend.
fucking wait it out. Right? Like,
enjoy the terrible
call
bed and
into
terrible food.
work and have your doctor, the doctor there, write a really vague work excuse. You were in the hospital in the emergency room and you're allowed to return to work.
I had a friend of mine when you were saying about weaponizing the Baker Act, who was basically victim of that exactly, where his ex-girlfriend and him, toxic relationship. They've already broken up, but when they were together, it was constant arguing, constant fighting, and at one point she pulled that on him, called the cops, and said that he was trying to hurt himself and the children. And boom, he was Baker acted for the whole the 72-hour hold. And after the determination from the mental professional, they saw like, no, this guy's not hurting anybody. But we got from Mary, 3 ways to Baker Act: law enforcement, court order, or through physicians. Florida is 72 hours, and yes, parents might not have contact with the child until attorney gets involved. Very sad.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's any, from my understanding, there's any express prohibition on it. And it's going to depend on the circumstances. We had a psych nurse where we worked, so that would be how we get that evaluation, because we just had a psych nurse on staff.
Yeah.
And she would determine like how bad it was, and if this little girl wanted to speak, little girl or boy, right, wanted to speak to her parents, they would allow at least a phone call or something like that. To be there. But being isolated from your family might contribute to it, and that's part of the evaluation that they make.
Yeah, and according to, and I'm reading this verbatim from this was the task force report on involuntary examination of minors, requested by Governor Rick Scott back in 2017. According to the National Conference of State Legislators, studies estimate that 1 in 5 children and adolescents have a diagnosable mental health disorder, 2/3 of whom are not receiving necessary treatment. I've said it before.
Didn't that come up in my case today?
Can we elaborate without giving full detail?
I'm not going to give any details as to names.
Of course.
But there was a child who has a psychological disorder in this case. And dad made a comment. This was so good. This helped me win today.
Asinine comment on parenting.
Ever. Like, why would you say this? So he says that
it's still funny.
So he says that, we asked him if he's aware that the child had this diagnosis. Are you aware that the child had, the Christmas tree diagnosis? And he goes, yeah, but his doctor diagnosed him in a 45-minute Zoom session. And I don't think any doctor could diagnose a child with Christmas tree syndrome in 45 minutes. And then he goes, without prompting, he just keeps talking. I let people keep talking. I'm not one of those attorneys that like objects to narrative. I'm like, this is the rope they need to hang themselves. I'm like, keep talking, bro. So he's one of those that did this. And he goes, you can't even prove your case. And it's been 45 minutes into this Zoom call. You should have seen the judge's face. The judge was like, and the judge made the specific ruling today. He's like, Attorney Morse, and he said, my name has met her burden for the petition she's seeking.
I've been in the room with you when you've gone opening argument, and the judge is like, no, Ms. Morse, Attorney Morse, granted.
Yeah, I'm granting your motion. You can stop talking. I'm like, I got more out here, and they're like, you don't need it. It's okay.
A whole bunch more of that came.
Yeah, I was like, all right, great, cool. See you in a few weeks.
My argument, Judge, it's a good one.
I have so many things to say. I have cases and stuff. Yeah, but it was helpful. Today was a good day, a big win. Obviously, this family has some psychological issues with the children, and dad is very He really wants to ignore them. This child has at least 4 to 6 different therapeutic needs. And dad continually says he doesn't need it. They don't need it. It's not a big deal. I don't understand.
Is the father a licensed medical examiner or?
No. And the irony is he testified to exactly that. He goes, I'm no professional, so I can't diagnose. But I think, and then he'd go on to this reasons why the doctors were wrong.
What that sounds like is a foot softly being inserted into the mouth.
So bad. I think his behavior really pissed off the judge because he really hammered down on this idea that mom like drags the children to these unnecessary treatments. Now, the treatments are therapeutic in nature, right? So mom isn't dragging the children through like getting shots and IVs and unnecessary surgeries and removing toes. And it's real actual therapy. She provided a very articulate reason as to why, and then about how the children were improving.
Yeah.
And then she testified to how, where she is right now in her status, she can't continue to get this type of care. And the change that she's requesting, which was why we were in court, was what she needed for these children. So that's why the judge was so explicit. Like, Attorney Morse has met her burden. And we were on a Zoom call, so you couldn't see. But in my mind, this isn't what happened, but it's what I think. In my mind, I think he was looking directly at that opposing party and was like, she met her burden. Talking to you, she did it, whether you like it or not, because opposing counsel was like this very much older attorney, like part of the good old boys club, and an attorney. He probably wrote his dinosaur to the first divorce, and it.
Wilma.
It just. I know that I do a good job. I know that I work really hard at these things. This is one of those cases that everybody's hand has been in. We've been kind of all hands on deck. We put a lot of passion and hard work behind this, but I had a couple of things that went wrong in it and I was freaking out. I was really, really anxious. Like in the morning, I was like, oh, this is a really high burden. And can I do this? And am I a good enough lawyer? And I had that this morning. That's how I felt. I really internalized this, like, can I do this? Am I good enough? Like, this is a really, like, exactly the legal theory that I was proceeding under was like, it's very high and it's very hard to meet. So I was like, this case was continued, right? So it's been a long road for this particular case. And it was continued. And we are doing hearings via Zoom. And some judges want their evidence digitally. So we provide a Dropbox link. And some judges still want a paper copy. Now, some judges are like, we're not accepting any paper copies because, COVID. That makes sense.
Right.
Some judges still want their paper copies. Well, this judge in particular wanted a paper copy. We had this case noticed, was it October?
Yeah.
It was noticed for hearing in October. We prepared our very large binder.
Very prepared.
Yeah. So of all of our evidence, because we had a very heavy amount of evidence, right? A lot of documents. This case had been going on for a while. And we delivered it. And he goes in the beginning of the hearing, and it's a 4-hour hearing it ended up being. But he goes, I have this stack of, and he was looking at it like, I have this stack of trash from opposing counsel. I'm going to say opposing counsel. That's not what the judge said. He said, counsel for the schmo. And he goes, I have this stack. He's like, and he goes, did you put these tags on here? You did? Okay. Well, I have that. And then he goes, and I don't have anything from you, Attorney Morse. And he's like, was this a continued hearing? And I'm like, yes, we noticed it for October. And then opposing counsel played, filibuster. He filed his motions to dismiss, which we won, of course. And, that naturally and procedurally that had to be heard first. So, I brought you that binder. I said, and I recall the considerable cost because we sent a courier. I said, so I know that got brought and delivered to you and you had identified it at that hearing.
Yeah.
And he's like, we don't have it. he goes, hold on. Goes and talks to his assistant, goes and makes a phone call. And he's like, we don't have it. Are you sure you brought it? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. Anyway.
Pretty positive.
So my question is, there's no.
What is your question? I made you deliver it. I literally, because I have a Mac and I can text message from my Mac. So it looks like I'm just typing. I text message Mary and I'm like, you need to reprint all the evidence and put it in a binder and have Patricio deliver it to Lake County.
And we're in Orange.
Yes, an hour away. So I'm like, and I went, she said, okay, I got it. And I went like faster. Right. So it wasn't her fault. It's mine. I'm panicking. So there I am with like an arm tied behind my back. And they're like, okay, now fight this very experienced fighter, right? Bare knuckle fight this experienced fighter, you petite little woman. So anyway, we still met our burden. Yay. But I had 3 other witnesses I needed to call. We ran out of time. I had the child's therapist. I had a private investigator. And I had DCF workers.
You had a lot.
Mm-hmm. We ran out of time. I could only call the parties.
But you met your burden.
It was scary. I was like,
the entire drive to Lake County, I couldn't really listen to the radio because something in the back of my mind kept telling me someone's going to call me and tell me to turn around.
You're going to the wrong courthouse.
I didn't end up using my evidence, but the fact I saw him receive it.
Yeah.
And then I saw him start reading it and he went through it. Now, I wasn't able to enter any of it into evidence because of where I was in my case when it was actually delivered there. But the fact that I had it and he could review it, I think made all the difference because it, being an hour away and us getting it to him so quickly, I believe made it clear that we had already prepared and produced that.
Yeah.
So, and he goes,
it looked pretty bummed the fact that you were able to get that binder to him within the hour.
Right. And because he was trying to say, here's the other thing is I probably could have said, Your Honor, you don't have my evidence. Oh, blame you, continuance.
Yeah.
But that would have harmed my client. She has a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the relief she needs. So I was like, we write it done.
We'll do it.
Like, I'm going to get it done. So it just, but fortunately the other party, which is really what we're trying to prove. I mean, he proved his own narcissism. He did.
Should have cued the fuck it, let's go live.
Yeah. Fuck it, we'll do it live. That's exactly what happened. It was like, fuck it, we'll do it as we go.
No, it was controlled chaos in here this morning.
Yeah.
And seeing Mary and Attorney Bunny just basically side by side, making sure everything was in place, and then
because we also had a video.
Yeah. I was and I kept running back and forth trying to find something that would hold all those videos because it wasn't just one video. It was like
a gig's worth.
Yeah,
half gig's worth.
So making sure that was good to go, and then driving it up there. The drive back, honestly, that's when I was finally able to relax because you know what, nice open road. Oh my God, Lake County stinks.
Stinks, huh? Why?
Literally stinks. Like I was going,
except for wherever our judge is.
Correct.
It smells very good near him.
I took this one road going towards the Lake County Courthouse that took me through these farms, and
I like that drive.
But
I have one of those smelly things.
I like any chance that I have to drive with my windows down. I like the breeze. I just like the sound.
I don't want that. It's windy, it messes up my hair. It's never the right temperature. Like I know all it seems like every car I've ever bought comes with a sunroof, and I never use it. I'm like, oh, it's sunny in my eyes, and it goes like right behind my glass. I don't want to.
I've never had a sunroof, but I've always wanted a sunroof.
You're not missing out.
Not missing out?
I don't know. I'm a fan of them. I like them.
There was one section of this one road where it was just like, honest to God, like I felt like my face was an inch away from a cow's butt. It was
Welcome to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was just horrible. And I'm like, well, let me put up the windows and turn on the AC. Oh no.
It was already in
It's
there. It's
already
like, I can
trapped.
taste it. Ah!
It was already in there consuming my car. But
So anyway, mental health played a huge factor in this case,
Yeah.
right? Of the minor child. And I think there are a lot of cases where the mental health of the minor children, especially if they're caught in between this like tug of war with their parents, the minor child's mental health will take a bit of a backseat. They'll ignore it in favor of what they want.
And that's unfortunate.
no, and like sadly, how the this report showed that was it 2/3 don't get the help that they need.
Right.
Whether it's lack of funding or
Well,
just
well, Florida has shared parental responsibility. So you have to agree on everything you do for the child.
Mhm.
What if one parent doesn't agree and the child really needs it?
they're not keeping the.
What do you do?
What do you do, Attorney Morse, in those situations?
Hopefully.
Pay
I
us
mean,
a
I'm
retainer.
yeah, right. You legally you really need to file a motion and kind of tee up the needs, right?
Mhm.
That's what you're going to have to do. If the parents can't agree, you have to take it before the court, which is unfortunate, right? Because that's really hard on parents and really difficult. Now, in my opinion, I think that if a child seems to have a need for therapy or something like that, the harm of therapy, even if it isn't needed, in your opinion, is so low. Like,
Yeah. What harm could come other than a monetary one?
I think maybe there could be a harm if, like, you have a quack of a doctor, but maybe
Yeah,
call
fair.
around and get a doctor that you like.
Get some advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't go to the first one you find in Google.
Right. And if you speak to someone and they seem okay, all right, maybe try out one or two, or there's every counselor isn't going to be for everyone.
Yeah.
So,
Oh no! As a child, I went through I think 4 different therapists for.
Is that because you're
for-
the problem?
No, I was the problem.
I'm just kidding.
For anger management.
Yeah.
And finally, the 5th one was the one that kind of cracked me open and was like, okay, this is what we got to do. Fix this and that. Boom, you're good to go. And she fixed me.
Children are more complex because they haven't developed the communication skills over time, and especially if there's some mental health issues, that's gonna delay, cripple, or otherwise damage their ability to have that communication.
No, and this report says that the most common mental disorders diagnosed among children ages 3 through 17 were ADHD, behavior or conduct problems, anxiety, depression, autism spectrum disorder, and Tourette's syndrome. A lot of these issues, a lot of these disorders can't be just seen just by looking at someone.
No, and they can't be found by a blood test.
That's true too. And a lot of the times, some of these children just may not, and forgive me for saying this, may not come from the best homes. Whether it's lack of parenting on the mother or father or both, these children go into.
Oh my God, I can't even tell you how I've had quite a few cases sometimes where I learn about both parents, and sometimes I'm like, "Who can we get a third parent in here to help out? Like, can I, like, Your Honor, we need to give some time sharing to at least one other person."
My client is a scumbag, Your
Yeah,
Honor,
yeah.
and I don't want anyone to be in charge of these children.
I try to not really represent people who I like morally abhor.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
The repugnant theory.
I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. But I've had a couple of cases where I'm like, you could do better, right? Where you're not a bad person, but like try a little harder.
Yeah.
And you can't, the law isn't here and prepared to resolve every quandary, right? The law is in no position to right every wrong. It just isn't practical. It isn't possible.
Now we're about to hit our 50-minute mark. I have a few questions, but I have a great article for Erin Reacts.
Okay. Oh, let's do it.
I'm going to all right, between 1 and 5, pick a number. Erin.
3.
3. Okay. Question. What can I do when X says she won't take child back on drop off, forcing me to keep my child for a week?
Keep your
I was
child.
gonna say, sounds like a win to you. Since when is not having your child a win?
If your significant other doesn't want to take the child back, I mean, for evidence purposes, do you think you could get it in a text message for me? And let me file so what's gonna happen when we go to court? She's gonna be like, I never said that. I had to have surgery. Like, you know, who knows? People could say anything when they get to court.
Yeah.
So if you could get it in a text message, yeah, keep track of it. Exactly. And you know, if they refuse to take the child back, then, you know, keep track of it. If it's for 1 week, be a good co-parent and take the child. Be quiet. Right? Yeah, exactly. Take the child, love them. They need a little extra love right now because it seems like one parent doesn't want them.
Yeah.
I hope that interaction did not happen in the viewing or hearing of the child, so the child doesn't have that feeling of rejection. I hope you never allow that to be communicated or inferred to her in any way that it's under your control to resolve it.
Yeah.
But take the extra week with your child, show some grace, show some kindness. The person who needs you is your child. This has nothing to do with your ex. I don't really care about your ex. You shouldn't worry about it that much, and you should keep the child. Now, if this happens for an extended period of time, we could file a petition for modification because there's been a change in circumstances. Let's get you some more child support. Let's get you a court order so she can't be like, he's withholding the child, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's happened where they're like, take him, I don't want to take him. And then they file a motion that you're withholding the child. And how do you prove different?
Yeah. Again, weaponizing.
Exactly. Weaponizing the courts, and it happens.
Oh,
So.
Well, enjoy the time that you have with your kids, please.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
God.
As we
Get some marshmallows and make a s'mores.
There it is. How
So
can I
we're gonna
have
do
some
tomorrow for
more?
our holiday party.
some more what?
How can I have some more of something I haven't had yet?
You guys are so funny.
We're hilarious.
All right. So the article that I'm going to bring up right now is actually, you know what? Let me put up the banner because right now it's time for where the fuck did? Oh, sorry, there it is. Boom! It's time for Erin Reacts, where I will show a video, a photo, or a story to Erin, and we get her reaction and her input on the situation. So I heard this story this morning on the radio, and it blew my mind because the host, the way he talked about it, was thinking the guy was an idiot. But then everyone was like, no, this guy is a badass.
No, you're an idiot. I know you are, but what am I?
So let me ask you, Kyle. Wow, I went through like
Is that
seven
my
different-
name still?
For like I went through 7 different names.
I
I thought Rob was gonna come.
I thought
out.
lordship for sure was coming.
Lord Kyle. What's one of the most badass things one of your friends has ever done?
Oh my god!
And I
Put me
Obviously.
on the spot right there.
Obviously, it's me kicking ass in court. I'm just
Yeah, I was
kidding.
gonna
I'm
say
just
going to
kidding.
court
No.
without your witnesses or your exhibits and still winning. That's pretty badass.
Hey!
Oh man, like I got like badass and like what variety?
like just wow, dude, you're a badass. Like that would be your response to the action or the story.
Man, that's tough. Like I guess nothing really has come up to my mind.
What would define a badass? There, that'll make it easier like that.
I was gonna say it probably would have just had to have been some outrageous stunt that you probably normally shouldn't have survived. So maybe like some stupid like pit bike, which are miniaturized dirt bikes.
Mhm.
I don't know. You like jumped over something that like was a 15-foot bonfire or something. It was like,
God, that's so.
you know, it's not
YouTube.
really even badass. It's just like you're just a reckless human being, and I can't believe you survived.
So the different question for you, Erin, like what's one of the dumbest things like your friend or family member has ever done? And I know that's asking a lot, but
I love my brother.
Should have preempted with that one. So you should have gave her the badass one and gave me the dumbest thing. I could talk all day about my brother.
But he makes some bad relationship decisions.
okay. All right. That one took a complete turn right there for me. I thought like maybe someone falling through a roof because they were standing on the wrong section, things like that. But
no, because those things I'm like, oh, that's an accident, right? Like, I think I've seen some clients do some really dumb things.
And
I have one in particular who, went to court.
This is coming off.
Went to court, did a full trial. They have about $750,000 worth of assets and a child. Both of them went to court pro se. That final judgment, without a court reporter, by the way, that final judgment is so fucked up. And I'm like, did you do this kind of evidence? Did you put forth this? I didn't know I had to. Well, I didn't know I had to. I didn't know in order to get it recorded, I have to bring a court reporter. God. I didn't know. And I'm like,
can't make this up.
And I'm like, this person is a brilliant business person. I'm telling you, very bright, very likable, like a great, genuinely good person. And I'm like,
just made a dumb decision.
You thought you should go to court by yourself when you have this amount of assets at risk?
What's the worst that could happen?
You'd think you'd want to at least spend some money to protect it.
I was like, I'm going to try to fix it. But I really told her at the first phone call we had, I was like, you fucked up. Like, you fucked up not having it. She was like, I know, they shouldn't let anyone go to court ever without a lawyer. And I'm like, I know. And the judge said these certain things because he can't give you legal. She's like, why didn't anyone tell you? And I'm like, because it's legal advice. There's a reason. Like, that's our stock and trade, is that there's strategies. Another good example of that was my hearing today. There are strategies on how to succeed in things. And when you don't have your evidence, you can't call your witnesses because time ran out. Like, you're just stuck. I was like, and continuing the hearing, which I probably could have gotten my continuance. The judge was willing. He asked me if I wanted it. And I said no, because it would have harmed my client. Yeah. So, and at first when the hearing was over, they were like, because we have to go to a second part of this hearing, even though the judge basically said, you've met your burden and you're going to succeed on this, but we'll let you keep the other side. We'll let you put on your case. So, I was like, you realize what happened, right? I'm like, that they because they saw at the last hearing, the judge flipped through my binder.
Oh, yeah.
So they knew I delivered it.
Right.
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Here it comes.
We're ready.
All right. Florida man is bitten by shark and walks home bleeding.
That's a badass.
That's a badass?
I like it. I like it.
So a man swimming in Siesta Key earlier this week gets bit by a shark.
So here's my perspective on that, because my son loves like nature documentaries.
Okay.
My son is a 40-year-old man, right?
I'm getting my taxes done by counter.
Yeah.
Me too. Sign him up.
He loves nature documentaries. He's just big on it. He likes, sharks and alligators, and fish are a particular favorite of his. There's like this fishing show that he loves to watch. So whenever he does something where he's like about to succeed, I'm like, fish on!
Oh, awesome.
That's what I say all the time.
Love it.
So
go ahead.
Connor has told me, and he's the resident expert in my house, that, sharks don't really like the way humans taste. We're not that meaty. Mm-hmm. We're not that, delicious to them, because
I beg to differ.
You're not a big blubbery, what do they like? Seals. They like seals. So that usually people will survive shark bites because the shark will bite you because they're confused. Mm-hmm. They bite you and they're like nasty, right? Like they're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. So they spit you back out. So my hope is that he wasn't bit that bad.
Well, here's the thing.
The danger is the infection from the germs on there. That's what you're likely to die from, not the bite.
So a woman called 911, and it was said that a 39-year-old man had been bitten on his hand and arm and was bleeding profusely. She was heard reassuring him everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. So this man was walking home, leaving a trail of blood. And like, no, it's fine. No,
I'm good.
I'm good.
It's like me.
Bless
It's fine.
You. It's fine.
This is fine.
What are your thoughts, Kyle? Is he a dummy or is he a badass?
No, he can't be a dummy because if you then you just classify every single person that ever swim in the ocean a dummy because you always have those potentials. So I would die. He's got to be a badass. Collect your belongings, aka body limbs, and take yourself home.
There's that one scene in Saving Private Ryan at the very beginning where Tom Hanks is like his ears are ringing and he's looking around. There's one scene where this soldier just looking around just randomly just picks up his arm and just continues into the battle.
I wish I knew about just because I literally in my group chat with my friends from Boston and on Instagram, one of my group chat's friends is a nurse. This individual that came in, and there's a picture. I wish I would have, because it would have been a great react. Just similar to the exactly he said. He cut his hand off with a saw, so they sewed it onto his arm. So midway through his other forearm is his hand to preserve it. It's like the crazy. I didn't even know you can do things like that.
Whoa.
Like, I'll show you the picture. It looks like a hand is coming out of his forearm.
His hand was sawed off.
He sawed it off, and to preserve it, the nurses then reattached, opened up his forearm to the other arm.
So
so they can fix everything over here to then bring his hand back over to the hand he lost it to.
I'm sorry, I'm just really confused. I may not be hearing you properly. Did he purposefully saw his own?
No, accident work. He was working.
Okay, there you go.
Patricio.
I know, but hey,
is this the LOL thing all over again? Patricio?
That was really funny. I feel like no one got it. And I'm like, this is a good joke. Why is no one commenting on this?
Patricia was like, I think he's speaking Spanish.
It went over everybody's head.
Look at this picture.
Oh no, I don't like it.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna get up to give it to me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Insane, right? I didn't even know the human body could do stuff like that, let alone that's medical procedure to try to preserve.
Come on, you don't remember the hairy hand case?
Yeah, kind of. But
the what? As we're closing out the show, what?
The hairy hand case.
What's the hairy hand case?
There was something happened.
I think it was a torts case.
It was a torts case, yeah, and I did not like torts.
Oh, okay.
I was one of the few students who was like, torts is not that fun.
I was the student running around first week saying tort to everyone at the strip club, getting yelled at by the bouncers. Like, is that a tort? I'm going to sue you. So dumb.
No, Mary, I know we took torts together. I didn't like it. We took torts together. So, they ended up, and Mary, you're going to have to correct me if I get this wrong, but I think I remember where somehow he lost hit skin on his hand or arm, and they reattached hair that was either from his leg or his butt, and it grew
his butt.
Yeah, and it grew back hairy like his butt, so he had this very hairy hand, and he was able to
skin graft from his
survive a lawsuit because they didn't warn him that
it'd be from his butt.
He'd have a hairy hand. Yeah. So that's the hairy hand case.
Oh my God.
So whenever you said that, I was like, hairy hand.
It blew, never usually gets into that sort of discussion in that group because, again, these are all promoter, entertainment people in the Boston nightlife industry. And then all of a sudden this guy sends a picture that his sister sent to him. And we're like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's
wild.
It took me a second to process that photo.
But it wasn't his whole hand. It was only a portion.
Yeah.
That's probably why they needed so badly.
Okay. That makes sense because it was that part of the hand. So so the saw just went right. It
was all right. Sorry, it's just around when you started talking about the guy.
Yeah, that doesn't gross me out at all.
No,
it's so wild.
It freaks me out because I do handiwork. I do work with tools, so it's always hopefully I don't cut off my finger.
Yeah, that was our tours professor. Her name was Mohapatra. Yeah, she'd be so proud that we remembered. Yeah,
mine's Professor Lustig.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Professor Lustig.
But as we are at the end, this will be the last episode of the year.
Yes.
Unless something happens or you call me and you're like, hey, let's do a show, which is probably not going to happen.
Cue the Manhattan drop.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Come on, marketing guy. Where's the effects?
Any New Year's resolutions going into 2021?
No, I don't. I feel like New Year's resolutions. I'm superstitious, right? I feel like New Year's resolutions. Not very superstitious. I'm like mildly.
Well, I got
Okay.
a fun one.
I feel like they're bad luck.
It might be. So I've never been in the whole New Year's resolution, but as of recently, my fiance, I guess it's a Cuban thing, maybe it's a Spanish thing. You could, if this sounds familiar to you, Patricio, they do something.
Yeah, they're all the same, aren't they?
You know,
grapes.
you write. Yeah, that is one too. But another one, you write like something on a piece of paper and you light it on fire, or you put it in your drink and then you drink it.
Okay, so this is similar to what the Dominicans do, which is called Año Viejo, where they and this is. I love the Dominicans with New Year's because they go all out. They literally build a kind of like a human figure.
Okay.
All right.
Like Burning Man.
Basically, they stuff it with as much stuff as possible, like the grievances, everything, and they burn it at midnight.
Yeah, because you leave it in that year, so it's something that bad happened or something that you want to leave in the year before. Sorry,
No, you're
it's
fine.
Flowing now. It makes more sense.
When I lived in Kissimmee, I was good friends with this one family of my girlfriend's daughter's friend. And one year they said, "Hey, do you want to help us build?"
Say that 4 times fast.
I don't even know who that is.
Do you want to help us build this thing? And I'm like, well, what are you building? And she gave me the definition of Año Viejo, old year. And I'm like, I can make you a head that shoots out fireworks. So I got all these mortars. I wired it up. And
Speaking of torts,
I was able to make a head with projectile fireworks, which was great. And then coming up into the next year, she asked me again. She's like, "Hey, we had a great time with your exploding head. Can you do it again?" I'm like, "I'll do you one better. Let me build the entire body." And
that's
like,
why he's never been allowed in Kissimmee ever again.
That's why he doesn't know the family anymore.
I built him with some of my old clothes. So this guy was about 6 feet tall. He was stuffed with newspaper that had been soaked in gasoline. The lining of his pants going.
Wait. Can I change my answer on something
Dumb?
the stupidest person I know has done?
I think I want to change my badass story too.
And yeah, I had put in probably about 3 different 500 mag cakes into this body. So once it lit up, oh my God, we lit up the entire sky on New Year's Eve. And yeah, so what your girlfriend, what your fiance, and congratulations.
I know.
You son of a bitch.
He got engaged and he was just like, oh yeah, we got engaged.
Yeah.
Well, it was a hellish weekend
It
here.
really
Everyone
was.
you know,
I was like a maniac with my head cut off.
Imagine like the day he comes in, he's like, "Oh yeah, she's 5 months pregnant."
oh God.
No. Hey, could I go home early today? I think my wife's in labor.
Yeah.
Are you pregnant?
That would be the day I run away and never come back to America. See you later.
But no, we want to say thank you to everyone who listened, everyone who has listened on. Oh, just for everyone's knowledge,
Press like and share.
Now that too. Press like and share. But also, we are now available on iHeart. So every platform that you can imagine: iHeart, Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Podcasts. There's some other ones I can't remember. They're not that popular, but in case you use that one, we're on that one. Go to morse-firm.com if you want to schedule a consultation, or you want to
schedule it right from the website. You don't even have to have social interaction.
Yeah, we can accommodate all your COVID needs. Any closing words before we get out of here, Erin?
Have a safe new year. Be safe. Be kind to your children. Do better.
Do better in 2021.
Do
guys.
better is
Do better.
definitely, I think, the 2021 slogan.
And I think some people could take the, oh my God, what's
do
his
better,
name?
be better.
Do less, God bless.
Oh, okay.
What's his name?
I don't know. I remember.
There's a YouTuber who's really funny. That didn't narrow
I was
down
going to say
at
there's a
all.
bunch of those these
Insert
days.
cricket noise. at
Kennedy,
107.
Trey Kennedy,
Oh,
Trey
okay.
Kennedy.
Yeah.
He has that's his little slogan, do less, God bless. There are a number of people who the advice that they need is do less, God bless.
No, I literally plan at 11:59, and I've said this to you before, at 11:59, with 55 seconds. I'm just going to look to my friend, whoever I'm with right there, to shake his hand and be like, I'll see you tomorrow. Just walk away. Not even celebrate.
That is so cheesy.
I know, but I don't. Last time I said Happy New Year, celebrated drinking.
We'll leave that behind.
Coronavirus.
Yeah. Do you have any good advice? Has anyone ever given you a piece of good advice, whether it's related to anything we've said or not?
There's definitely plenty of good advice. The one that I always stand by, and it's not necessarily I was given it, but it's just like a quote. And it's not even a quote. I think it's actually a poem, but it's by Robert Frost. I can sum up everything I learned in life in 3 words. It goes on. So stop hanging yourself up on the little things. Stop worrying about the past. Just worry about the future. Worry about being better and doing better. So
Do less. God bless.
Exactly.
Mwah. Good night, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Oh, we're still having the thing.
Awkward.
We'll just do a dance.
Or like the cheesy like outro from